find my glasses. Thank you all for being here today, and thank you, Reverend Antonio and Wesley Memorial, for hosting us and giving us space to honor Dad. And seeing you all here means a lot to our family. I am Ryan Battle, Roger's oldest son, and I stand here today as a reflection of a man who raised me, grateful for his wisdom, his guidance, and his love. My dad was many things: intelligent, caring, determined, frugal, sometimes a little stubborn, but above all, he was a believer. He believed in us, sometimes more than we believed in ourselves. And he showed that belief not just by what he said, but by what he did. My father was a man of consequence, not because of titles or achievements, though he had many, but because of the way he showed up for people he loved. He believed in the power of family, in the importance of discipline, in always doing what was right by treating others with dignity and respect. He didn't just teach those values, he lived them. Before I continue, I want to acknowledge my mom. For the past 25 years, she cared for Dad in a way few could comprehend. When he was struck down by viral encephalitis, she did not just step up. She devoted herself to his recovery and healing. Though he lost many memories and emotions, she remained ever present, helping him rebuild connections, keeping him safe, and surrounding him with love. Her devotion is beyond words, but it deserves to be spoken out loud. Mom, you showed us what true love really means, in sickness and in health. Thank you. We love you. Anyone who chooses to adopt 4 children has to possess a particularly large heart and an unshakable belief, not just in himself, but in his partner and in the family he wants to build. He believed that love was something that you chose every day, that family was something you created through commitment, and that once you made that choice, you honored it with everything you had. Growing up, we never thought ourselves adopted. That word had no meaning because he never gave us any reason to think we were anything but his own. He didn't differentiate, didn't treat love as conditional. He was simply Dad, an unwavering constant in the foundation upon which we were raised. His approach to fatherhood blended encouragement and discipline, a balance of carrot and stick. He pushed us to chase our dreams and commit to them, but he also had expectations. He wasn't one to get angry over small things, but there was a clear line. Cross it and get your lesson. As a mischievous kid, I sometimes pushed too far. One day in school, we had a substitute teacher, and to my 10-year-old mind, resembled a frog. In a moment of youthful stupidity, I let out a loud ribbit. Got a few chuckles, stern look from the teacher, but nothing more. I got away with it. I did not. That evening, my dad stormed through the door like a fireman seeking a fire, except there was no fire. There was just Ryan Wade Battle. He had gotten a call from the school and was furious. That day, I learned that respect wasn't optional, and neither was character. He wasn't just raising me, he was shaping me, instilling in me values that I've carried my whole life. Growing up in a hardworking steel town of Trafford, Pennsylvania, Dad embodied perseverance, discipline, and frugality that defined that community. He was the youngest of 4 children by 16 years. When we visited the Trafford home, we would climb the 2 long staircases up to my dad's 3rd-floor attic bedroom. A Pittsburgh attic is a quiet place, perfect for one with a love for making music. In his high school yearbook, they wrote, "Rod spends a lot of time hidden in the band room with his horn." So I picture him up there in his band room for one, honing his craft, imagining where his music might take him. And take him it did. Onto the field with the Penn State Blue Band, where he played saxophone and clarinet in stadiums filled with thousands, turning those attic dreams into reality and creating memories that he was happy to share with you his entire life. But dreams evolve, and college has a way of testing what we think we know about ourselves. He arrived at Penn State ready to dedicate himself to music, choosing it as his major, but over time he started to question whether it was the right path. He once admitted in a note, "I started out in music because I thought I was pretty good, wanted to find out for myself. But then I realized I wasn't so good. I couldn't sing, I couldn't play piano very well, and I couldn't picture myself teaching little kids to sing." That realization led him to adjust his path to mathematics, a field his high school counselor once recommended. And as often happens when you are exploring, you experience something that changes your trajectory. He wrote, "I took only one programming course, Fortran, because Penn State had no computer science program. I enjoyed it and found it less complex than the advanced calculus and physics classes I took from my math major." That single programming course quietly set him in a direction that would lead him to IBM and a 30-plus year career at the forefront of technology. At IBM, some of the first projects were writing code for the NASA Apollo missions and developing systems for NASA's space shuttle program. Working on such ambitious projects as putting a man on the moon and building an international space station instilled in him confidence that anything was possible. So it was not surprising how he could exude so much belief in us. Beyond conquering space, Dad's career spanned healthcare, finance, government, telecommunications, creating systems that impacted all of us in some way. By any measure, his career was prolific, but it was seldom that I remember him talking about it. Instead, what I remember is him talking about was his own ideas. For example, long before the advent of sports analytics, Dad used his imagination and skill and an IBM PC Junior to write a program to analyze my efforts on the soccer field. In high school, it was never enough for him just to come to the games and cheer. He had to record them. And then he got home and he rewatched them and manually entered my stats into this program. Out popped a rating. This is how well you played, or you didn't. Regrettably, at the time, I knew it all. I didn't need Dad's program. In retrospect, he was way ahead of his time. Today, there's no sport without the presence of player analytics. And Dad didn't just stop there with the game tapes. Well before video editing tools existed, we sat down together for hours with those tapes, recorders, other equipment, to create a highlight reel to send to colleges in hopes of getting me a scholarship. This was vintage Dad. He had the ability to merge technology with creativity, to invest in making me better and helping me succeed. And yes, the highlight tapes got the attention of Coach Rudy at the University of Central Florida, which his dad envisioned led to a scholarship. His belief in me extended beyond the field. To Dad, everything, his work, his family, even my future, had puzzles to continuously solve. Whether coding for a space mission or guiding me, he was always seeking better answers. When I was struggling to find my own path in college, he wrote me a 21-page letter in cursive, outlining different career options based on my strengths, weaknesses, likes and dislikes, analyzing pros and cons of each based on current industry conditions. But at the time, I just heard the voice of a Charlie Brown adult. He wrote, "You will want to learn as much as you can by working on problems that are not assigned, by making sure you understand, by having desire to succeed, through reading more, studying more, concentrating harder, day in and day out." And there it was, a magic word to me, all caps in quotes, desire. This was my coach, Harry Miller's, favorite way to identify the best players. Right, Brian? Show up early, desire. Sprint to shag balls, desire. Run an extra lap, desire. Practice alone, desire. It's a special sauce that separates average from great. Dad knew that word held great meaning to me. He knew it was time to challenge me in the language I understood. And then one day, that part of him, the part that knew me so well, was gone. But he was still here, rebuilding his life in the shadow of his other. When we were at hospice with Dad, my mom told us a story about his return home after fighting encephalitis. She said he would sit in the backyard, quietly staring into space with their dog Cooper at his side. He had lost so much. His memories, his sense of self, his attachment to this world. I wasn't there to see those moments, but I understand them in my own way. I know what it means to have a dog by your side in times of need. My current dog, Virgil, has been with us for 8 years. Over these years, I've taken him mountain biking, and when he was young, he would sprint off on the trail in front of me, stopping in the distance, looking back, getting a glimpse of me, and then continuing on. However, recently he stopped doing that. He now spends a lot of time running at my side. When he was doing this the other day, I couldn't help but think about my relationship with my dad. When I was growing up, I was like Virgil. I ran ahead. I tried to get separation, seeking my independence, pushing his boundaries. I was focused on my own path, looking back just enough to know I had his protection without his direction. But when I was ready to run beside him, to share the trail as equals, he was no longer there. The memories I longed to create, the advice I wished to seek, they were locked away beyond his reach and mine. His loss was not just mine, it was ours. Each of us in this room carries our loss, whether it's the absence of a father we barely got to know, the deep love of a husband that was interrupted, or the wise guiding light that was extinguished. But in that loss, we share the privilege of having known him, of having been shaped by him, in carrying forward the belief he had in all of us. Dad, I am me because of you. I love you. I miss you. Thank you.